At this point in time, please join me in rendering a very warm and gracious welcome to Mr. Ethan Colvin.
Thank you, Captain Black, for that. I have to ask the kids how adept I am at talking to them or talking with them. Look, this is a really cool honor to be able to be here with you guys today, to be able to speak at the blessing of the colors. And I was just trying to think of a way in which we could start the year off in a way, hopefully, that I can be of some benefit to you guys. Try not to go too long. I was told 35 minutes, so is that still good? Okay, we're good. All right, we got 15 pages of notes. We'll see how quick we can go through this. Throughout your life, you will learn many valuable and important lessons, and particularly your time here, even though some of you may not think so at the moment. In my time working with people, I found one area that is a glaring weakness in the life of most. You ultimately can only control yourself and your actions. You cannot control other people's actions, their opinions, their feelings, their mistakes, and the adversity you face in life. You can control your attitude, your effort, your behavior, and your actions. And as a benefit, you would not believe the response that you can have and the benefit that you can have to others when you do that. This tends to be an issue with most because most people react emotionally. Most guys don't want to say that. We kind of say we have like a gut reaction. It just means you're being emotional. You can get over it. Anyway, so we react emotionally as opposed to sound judgment and reason. And I can even remember being a high school student. And at times just feeling overwhelmed with life, and at times feeling like there's just a lot of adversity, a lot of things going on. And I can remember going through different times when I would react in a way that wasn't sound judgment, that didn't follow in a rule of any logic or reasoning. And I can guarantee that the majority of you guys here do that on occasion as well. And I would love to be able to help you today in a way that will elevate your judgment. And as I've heard Captain Black say before, you learn through experience or you learn through judgment. What he means by that is most of us tend to fall into that first category. We tend to like to go the harder route. We make the mistakes on our own, and then we figure out from that process. But if there was one way that we could figure out a way in which we could learn through judgment on our own, in which we could learn through the wisdom of others, I'm hoping today that I can share just a little bit of wisdom in that area, because I have gone through my own sets of learning through experience, as you would say it. Today I want to think about one question. And the one question for all of us is, do we count the cost? If you were an athlete who aspired to win a medal in the Olympic Games, there's only one thing you would need besides an extraordinary athletic gifting, a ruthless, life-consuming focus on getting the prize. Now, if you guys think about Michael Phelps, right? Pretty recent gold medalist and quite a few times. An American legend. When preparing for the Olympics, he would practice 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, swimming nearly 50 miles a week while also training vigorously within the water as well as in the gym. And that doesn't even include the fact that he would eat 12,000 calories a day to prepare for the different rigorous activities that he would partake in. And like every gold medal winning Olympic athlete, he had a singular focus with a singular drive. And most of us, if we were truly honest with ourselves, we would, even if we had the athletic gifting, right? We all kind of dream and aspire. I can remember being a young kid wanting to be a professional football athlete, right? You get to high school and you realize most of us don't have what it takes. But if we had that ability, right? Most of us, it would cost us too much. It would cost us too much time, it would cost us too much energy, and too many resources. If we think about it another way, right? We're a military school here. So if you think about it from the perspective of, imagine if the United States were counting or was trying to look at whether they were wagering to go to war or not. They wouldn't go without counting the cost. The cost of weapons, the cost of ammunition, the cost of transportation, the cost of media exposure, the cost of diplomacy, the cost of human lives, among a litany of other factors. In The Art of War, there is a quote that reads, "He who wishes to fight must first count the cost. When you engage in actual fighting, if victory is long in coming, the men's weapons will grow dull, their ardor will be dampened. If you lay siege to a town, you will exhaust your strength." Right? In both situations, both the Olympic, the idea of counting the cost for the prize that is the value of the Olympic medal, as well as just the pride that comes along with that, or whether we are counting the cost of going into battle. In both situations, there is a prize or a wanted outcome that is in view. Before the desired outcome or the prize that can be won, there is a cost or a price that has to be paid in order to get there. In failure, there is also cost that has to be paid as well. I just want to say that again. In both situations, there is a prize or a wanted outcome that is in view. Before the desired outcome or the prize can be won, there is a cost or a price that has to be paid in order to get there. In failure, there is also a cost that has to be paid as well. Most of us can understand this on a big picture level, right? When we think about this in a big picture. But I want you to understand is that in every decision that we make in life, that you make in life, there is a cost that must be paid. Sam Noon is quoted as saying, you have to pay the price. You will find that everything in life exacts a price, and you will have to decide whether the price is worth the prize. I would also flip that around and ask, is the prize or the goal worth the price or the cost to obtain it? And what do I mean by that, right? So hopefully you guys won't make fun of me too much. I'm a dad of 3 little ones. If you're asking how that happens, when you're carrying around little kids, you normally add like 3 of these to yourself. I got another one on the way, right? You see my baby watermelon? I did ask my wife permission, by the way. Anyway, so if you can imagine just for a moment, right, I got my little kids strapped in. Most of you may have heard this already, but kids cost a lot of money. This is an example. Some of you guys are a little way away from this. Some of you guys may be closer than the rest, but look, here's a warning. Kids cost a lot of money. They cost time. They cost energy, and they cost more money than you probably even can imagine. I can't even count the amount of times in the last 5 years that I have spent half the night with a crying child who doesn't want to go to sleep, right? But in the middle of it, my wife and I counted the cost. And I hope you guys understand that a little bit. Because I'm the dad that carries the kid around like this, around the park, that people make fun of, and they're like, why in the world does he have 3 kids? And they are 5 years of age and younger, and another one on the way. So I'll have 4 kids, 5 and under. But my wife and I counted the cost. But the issue is that in society and even amongst yourselves is that a lot of us don't count the cost of what our decisions actually partake in, what they entail. In addition, I've counted the cost of my marriage, the prize of my wife, of the relationship that I have with her. It is worth the cost. My kids are worth the cost. My wife is worth the cost, both in the past, the present, and the future. Every single ounce of everything that I have, it is worth the cost. Now, let's think about it this way for you guys. In 1 second, I'll get my watermelon off, but I got to hold it for a little bit longer. It's my prize. I know you guys aren't in this position yet, right? Some of you guys may be closer than others. But what you may not realize is that you are already counting up the cost in your life on a daily basis, and you are already adding debt to your life as well. Think of it this way. Each and every single one of you guys, when you go to class, there is a cost that is paid. The price you pay is not only so that you can graduate, but that you can learn and that you can grow in your understanding of life and the lessons that it offers. You will either put forth the effort to listen, to take notes, to participate in the lesson in class and all of those things, or you will focus your attention elsewhere. And that is your decision. Now, the fortunate reality for a military school is they can force you a little bit harder than a public school, but that is still ultimately your decision to make. You have the ability alone to count the cost in your own life as to what is important and what is valuable, and if the prize is worth it. But for all of you guys, some of you guys will pay more, others will pay less, but the prize is a foundation block for the rest of your life. And if you don't pay the price now, you will pay the price later. We can also think about this on the flip side. When you want something that is against the rules or against the law, you not only pay a cost to get there, but there is a cost that is added from the consequences of your actions. Now think about it like this. Some people don't count the cost of children, and it does become a burdensome thing to them. For me, it's a prize. My children are a prize. But when we don't count the cost, it's like we're adding weight to ourselves, right? When we make bad decisions, we get demerits, right, at Fishburne. But then we get into the real life, and we make and continue to make bad decisions. We do things that we shouldn't do, and we add to the weight of life. We add to the consequences that we have. And there's a reality in which we will continue, if we do not count the cost, to add more and more weight to ourselves, Now, I don't know if you guys noticed this, and some of you guys may notice this more from the perspective of your parents to you. But the very thing that I prize so much, so richly, my children, is now under the weight of poor choices and me not counting the cost. And over time, these rocks and the weight of the consequences not only affect me, but they affect the very things that I would prize the most. And I hope that's not just a silly example or a silly exaggeration. I hope you guys can understand that a little bit. Even though I know, look, being in high school, being in middle school, it's a different world. You guys have some responsibilities here, but there are many more to come in the future. Look, poor decisions are like weights added to your steps. It's without question that life exacts a cost, and our decisions directly influence what we are willing to pay and what we are willing to have to pay, and what we will have to pay. Look, I realize some of you guys may have never even thought about what you want to become, the goals that you would like to have, the prizes that are set before you. You don't even know where they are yet. Some of you guys don't even know about the dreams that you want to obtain, let alone how you are going to get there and the steps that you need to take. You don't always get to control how much time you have, but you do get to control how to use some of the time. I made sure to input that there for you guys. With that time, you have the ability to accomplish great things, but you have to be willing to examine your life and count the cost of what it will take. If you fail to count the cost, you will fail in how you use your time, and you will fail in where you want to go, and you will fail other people. It is important for me that I not only encourage you to count the cost with this life, but to count the cost with eternity, because ultimately it will influence how you live this one. For all of you, you must consider and count the cost in your daily life and how you go about doing schoolwork and how you go about making friends and the relationships that you build in the future with significant others. You have to count the cost, because if you do not count the cost, you will fail. Look, not only should you count the cost in this life, but you should count the cost in eternity. The cost of following Christ is difficult, but the cost of not following Christ is greater. A.W. Tozer once said, there is only one of two things that you can do where you see the cross. You can flee it, or you can die upon it. Look, there's a strong reality in which we have to understand that the cost to count something isn't an emotional decision that's made quickly, but it's something in which you rise in judgment to see how you should go about doing things. For me, I want to encourage you guys to count the cost in your studies, count the cost in the relationships that you build this year, but I also want you to count the cost in seeing where eternity lies, that you may know Christ, know his resurrection, know that he died for you and for your sin, that you might live, that you might be blessed for eternity, but not also for eternity, but also now with him. Thank you guys, and I appreciate your time.